managing an accurate color pipeline from camera all the way through delivery can be a little bit tricky. So Tim and his friends in our engineering group created a very exciting new product called ColorBox. ColorBox is for onset looks and LUT management. And again, we're going to talk a lot about that for live production, HDR conversions as well, and supports up to 4K, Ultra HD, and HD workflows, all the way up to 12-bit 444. So that's the front and back. So on the front, you have USB on-the-go connector, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And on the back, you have 12G SDI in and out, loop out, and HDMI 2.0 output, a LAN port, and a locking power connector. And the locking power connector is really nice for production environments.
Absolutely. You want to make sure that you've got, two things about that power connector. One, it's DC. So for people that are running on DIT carts who want to have DC power, battery power, they can do that. Also, because it's a latching connector, it's got a nice positive retention mechanism. So if you're bouncing around in different environments, it's not going to come unplugged. And another key thing to highlight there, and I think you touched on, is the 12-bit RGB 444 support all the way up to 4K 30p. So pretty powerful there for a lot of different people who need the most precise kind of color conversions.
And that's carried over one cable because it's 12G SDI.
You got that right.
Let's talk a little bit about that LAN port. There is a built-in web server that you can connect to either on the LAN or the USB connector. And it serves up this very rich UI directly from the ColorBox to any standard web browser.
We worked really hard to make the user interface, consistent with other AJA products. But something unique that we've done here is we've added this node-based processing pipeline, as we're calling it, into the user interface, which is very easy to navigate. From left to right, you see a blue line, which indicates, the source coming in, going across the different nodes. And if the node changes a color, it means that it's being part of the signal processing path. Very user-friendly. The feedback that we've had on it from our beta testers has been pretty amazing.
Let's talk a little bit more about the heart of the box, which is the integrated color processing. And it comes with a range of color processing pipelines, as we're calling them. And you select each one depending upon what the need is. So there's 5 processing pipelines that we're going to talk about each one a little bit. So let's first talk about the AJA color pipeline. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, so this is a pretty powerful tool here. This is kind of your LUT mode, if you will, for the product. And it's all built around a 33-point 3D LUT processor right in the middle of it. Has tetrahedral interpolation, so the best kind of LUT that you can get in a hardware product today. Surrounding that, it's actually got additional 4 1D LUTs and 2 3x3 matrices. And this gives you full control over the color processing path to get the highest precision conversion possible out of your pipeline. The 3D LUT is in there. You can load it with user LUTs. The 1D LUTs can be loaded with user LUTs. The 3x3s can be...
And these are just standard LUT files that people are already using in other parts of the production chain?
Absolutely, yeah. Just based standard LUT files, nothing proprietary there in terms of file format. And then the 3D LUT that's in the middle is also, well, all the LUTs can be, but the 3D LUT primarily can be controlled dynamically, similar like what we do in the FSHDR, where third parties can control it and manipulate a look and have that downloaded in real time to the ColorBox and have it output over its 12G SDI and HDMI 2.0 connectors.
Super cool. And what's the bypass node for the baseband signals?
So the bypass node allows you to quickly turn everything off essentially in the pipeline, so you can really just look at the source being bypassed all the way directly to the output, and you can toggle it on and off and back and forth so you can quickly A/B your look against the original source material.
Wow, just on one monitor. So it's bypassing the processing, not bypassing the video outputs.
Correct, yeah, just bypassing the processing.
So the next one is a great integration, again, with our friends at ColorFront, who we've done multiple projects with, including FSHDR and HDR Image Analyzer and others. Maybe you can talk about how they integrate with ColorBox.
Yeah, so we've been able to integrate parts of the ColorFront engine into the ColorBox, so it comes built in with 6 different transforms that are designed for broadcast workflows that allow you to convert between SDR, HLG, and PQ. And as ColorFront, with their color science, they do a great job of optimizing the transforms for maintaining the perceptual integrity of the material. And so that comes freely built in with the product.
Next up is the NBCU LUTs.
NBC Universal developed these LUTs in collaboration with the guys at Chromorama. and they were developed specifically for live sports television productions, for people who are doing single stream or single master HDR workflows, to be able to convert SDR sources into HLG for the production switcher and then convert to different deliverables on the output. It also has proc amp and RGB color corrector in front of the transform, so it allows you to color correct the source before it goes into the LUT.
Let's talk about the next one, which is the BBC HLG LUTs.
Yeah, so again, these are another widely used HLG LUT package used in the industry for live sports productions. We've included these LUTs in our FSHDR and had great success with that. We wanted to make it an option in our ColorBox product as well. It has a very similar pipeline to the NBCU LUTs with an RGB color corrector and proc amp in front of the LUT processor. And this is one of our first licensable options that's in the ColorBox. So we want people to be able to, assess the technology, the color science, and then only buy it if they really need it rather than having that cost built into the product.
And then ORION-CONVERT from our friends at Chromorama.
Yes, so ORION-CONVERT, this is really exciting. This is kind of the first time the industry's seen this pipeline available.
Oh, really?
And so the ORION-CONVERT algorithm was actually used to develop the LUTs for lots of different high-end productions, including the NBCU LUTs. What's really unique about this color pipeline is a couple of things. The first thing is, instead of using the 33-point 3D LUT processor, which is amazing, we're using floating point math to do the transforms.
Okay.
And what that means is that you're going to get less interpolation errors, gaining access to what I call the color between the colors. So that's one thing. The next thing is that it has a unique two-stage knee adjustment. So imagine you're doing an HLG to SDR down conversion. You can apply a pre-compression in the HLG domain, go through the transform into SDR, and then have another knee adjustment to be able to fine-tune it when you're in SDR.
So really lots of granular control then.
To get the perfect transform for your production. And the beauty of all of these pipelines is once you have a look that you like, you can save it as a preset, export it, and send it to other color boxes so that those same settings can be reproduced. And then another really neat thing, which we highlight here, is the ability to overlay information on top of the image. Some of it's ancillary data, some of that information is other user text information. So think about an onset application where you'd like to put a label on the display. Sometimes people use masking tape now instead of, you can throw that tape roll away now and just use this user text field and be able to put on, this is the camera, this is the lens, or this is the filter, or maybe if you're in a live production, you might put the name of the camera operator on there and be able to take it off. But it's a really useful tool for so many different reasons. So it's got a built-in frame store, which does a couple of different things, and it's really a powerful tool. So first thing, as a frame store, it can capture images. But not only does it just capture images, it can capture up to 4K Ultra HD HDR images. So there's no other kind of product like this on the market that can do that.
So here's the presets.
Yeah, so we understand there's a lot going on in the product, and you want to be able to not only just set up this one product, but hand off the setup to other people so they can have the same exact transform setup in theirs. So each one of our pipelines, as we've called them, can have 10 stored presets each.
Oh, wow.
So that's a total of 50 presets per box, which is a lot. But those presets are the things that enable you, like I said, to be able to save it, export it, import it in another box, and get that same look. And with the AJA color pipeline, it's a little bit more challenging because you may have 1D LUTs, 3x3 MHCs, and a 3D LUT associated with it, and those are all files. So in the pipeline preset for AJA color pipeline, we actually store all of those files along with that preset.
Oh, wow.
So when it's imported into another box, those files are automatically imported into the library. Maintaining low latency is important in any application. Live has to be live, and live is only live once, right? And so maintaining lip sync is pretty critical. So you don't want to have the video out of sync with the lips that are moving on the screen. And also for a live production environment, if you're wanting to do a color conversion and have it go to a production switcher, the production switchers have usually a timing window of plus or minus half a line on their inputs and a line buffer. And so we wanted to make sure when we receive a signal and output it, we're processing in a short enough time to be able to meet that timing requirement, so we're not introducing any extra frames of delay. But I mean, think beyond just live production, think about live events or image magnification, IMAG, you know, in houses of worship and churches and that type of thing, or even LED volumes or in-camera VFX. You know, people are clamoring for something that's low latency like this that can do the processing that we're doing.
So you mentioned the dynamic LUTs before, and this is a feature that we introduced on FSHDR, which allows partner companies to trigger certain functions on the box from their software. And in ColorBox, maybe you can talk about how that would work with two partners that we have right out of the gate, the first being POMFort.
Yeah, so POMFort, they've been a strong partner throughout this integration, helping us along the way in so many different ways. But yes, they've developed an integration to be able to control that 3D LUT dynamically. So within LiveGrade, you can have, you know, you can set up your show LUT and then have a CDL, which is a color decision list, be able to make changes to that in real time and have those changes downloaded into our 3D LUT and have our box, the ColorBox, output that video in real time. Something unique that we do is actually a full frame LUT processing. So there's some other products that can sometimes do partial frame processing, so you might get some color change on part of the video and not on the other. We've eliminated that issue with ColorBox.
That doesn't sound very helpful. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah.
The second partner with the dynamic LUT support is our friends at Assimilate.
Yes, so just finishing up with POMFort, it's LiveGrade Pro and LiveGrade Studio that'll be supporting this on day one at product launch. Integration's ready to go.
Super exciting.
Yep. Assimilate, we've also worked with them early on. They wanted to be a part of the product and controlling the dynamic LUT as well, 3D LUT. And so their Assimilate Live Looks and Live Assist will also be able to control the ColorBox at launch.
We also have other partner integrations with configuration and control partners, the first being our good friends at Skarhoy.
Yeah, it's always great to work with Skarhoy. We've worked with them on FSHDR control integration of the RGB color corrector, and when we approached them and said, hey, we've got a new color corrector device or color management tool, they were on board from the get-go. And so they've developed a control integration that is extremely tight, controlling lots of different aspects of the product, including being able to control multiple color boxes at the same time, which is a key requirement for broadcast. If they want to adjust the red value on multiple color boxes at one time, they can certainly do that.
Wow.
So gain control works, and it's just an amazing integration. And working with David over at CyanView, he's also is really keen on being able to control this box. It dovetails really well into his workflows for broadcast and color correcting cameras that don't necessarily have color correction controls in them. So he was really anxious to gain control of ColorBox, and that integration is there and is ready to go at launch.
And as always, please follow us on social media. Thank you, Tim, for your time. We'll talk to you soon.